Integrating dance into other subjects and other subjects into dance is really important because you have to get at all of their intelligences. You have to get at all their learning styles. Sitting in a desk all the time is not the greatest way to acquire information. Our first instinct is to move, and that continues to be so always. We sort of teach ourselves out of that. But when we get the kids back into that, where they're moving and exploring on top of taking in visual stimulation, auditory stimulation, emotional, all of that, it becomes a complete package.
So the first thing I want you to do is just listen to the music. I'm going to put the music on, and I just want you to move around the room in any direction that you want. Just move around the room. Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Warm-ups are really important. You wanted to be working on shape, for example, or body. Then you would integrate that into the warm-up. So one of the warm-ups we did was where they had to create shapes when they froze, and I asked them to think about positive and negative space and make it very interesting.
Now I'm going to stop the music, and when I stop the music, I want you to hold any shape you can create. Ready? Beautiful. And now that we're warmed up, we're going to be doing some work with the work that you're doing in your social studies classes.
In the legends that they're reading and any of the other material in the language curriculum, a lot is focused on the 4 elements of air, fire, water, earth. So I combined the 2 so that they could explore the relationship of the Canadian peoples to nature and the environment.
So when you think about the environment, what do you think about?
The sun, water, fire.
In our dance classes, we're going to be talking about and thinking about and moving about how we communicate those elements through dance.
Integrating the other subjects into dance just enhances their knowledge because they're getting it completely kinesthetically.
If you, let's say, for example, we're trying to communicate water with your body, with movement, what actions might you choose?
Drip, swirl, sink.
These are all great. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to play with that. We're going to experiment with that. I want you to try some of these things. Pick one action that you think depicts that element that you could use to communicate that element, and let's see what you come up with.
They chose from some creative action words that they knew and ones that just spontaneously came to them.
And freeze.
Then we showed each other and worked on taking some of those pieces and movements that they chose and then refining them so that they could come up with a set phrase that they wanted to show.
Can you go through yours? Thank you. So what makes that movement interesting to watch?
It changes from levels as she started out she started low and then she went up high but then brought it back low again.
Then I asked them to go a little further into the exploration.
But this time you're going to link 3 movements together to create your action phrase. And the other thing I want you to do is I want you to begin using your body in a shape, a frozen shape, that will say, this is the beginning of my dance and this dance is about fire, or this dance is about water. And then at the end, you're going to show us that you're done and this whole journey has ended by coming up with a really interesting finishing freeze or shape.
And we focus more in grade 6 on relationship and time and energy. I had them think about their floor pattern and the relationship of where they began to where they were ending and the journey that they were taking in that.
Can you tell us what 3 action words you used for earth?
I chose creep, pound, and what was the last one? Release, because I was kind of going with the idea that I was an earthquake that was slightly creeping, and then all of a sudden growing huge and then quickly dying down.
I divided the room into quadrants, and anyone who had chosen fire as their element, they went into one quadrant. Anyone who chose water, they went into another, and so on. So I had 4 different areas of the room designated for the 4 elements.
And now I'm going to ask you to work together as a group on your element. I want you to use the same model that we did when you did your own dance right now with your starting position, your action phrase, and your ending position. Except this time, you have a group. So your starting shape is going to be your group shape.
Our group was Earth, and so we first thought that it would be a pyramid would be good because it represented like a lot of Earth, and then we thought that maybe a mountain could also represent the Earth.
When you look at a mountain, is it symmetrical? Okay, so let's think for a second. Yeah, maybe you want to, yeah. And try, I think, if you're going to want the focus to be on the formation of the mountain, maybe your focus needs to be somewhere different rather than everybody facing out. What do you think you could do? Let's see, something. I like that so much better because it's not so symmetrical. And when we look at mountains, they're not.
We started out as a fire that is just starting to brew. So like a little ember that is now catching on fire.
It's good to take the ideas from your group, build it, change it, and the whole thing will evolve.
Over time, I stopped them a few times to have them see what groups were doing and talk about what was working and what maybe need to be worked on.
So what's going to be the difference between mud and water?
We're more less liquidy than water.
Thicker, so your movements, how do you make a thick movement?
Instead of just one, keep going like two of them slower.
There's an excellent idea. So you're two together rather than one individual.
A lot of time is given to analysis and reflection. That's when you put it all together. That's when you have to sit back and think, what did I do? Why did I do that? Why did I choose that? It's really good to hear what goes on in their head, why they made those choices.
Usually I just do something one way, but then I saw a person do it differently, so I could change a little bit and make it the best dance I can.
When you're trying to tell somebody how you're feeling through dance, the different movements and levels that you use can really help express that. Like when you're sad, you would usually have slower movements rather than quick movements.
I learned that I could actually give more ideas than I thought I could, which would build on the leadership side of life when I could like give some ideas and then people could expand on them or could tell me if my idea is good or maybe I could improve on it.
I've seen some things start to emerge, different group formations, different ideas. Tell me some of the strategies that are working that's getting your group to come up with ideas.
You have to like work together and listen to the ideas that other people have.
So listening's important and sharing.
A lot of people just had all these different ideas, and we tried to make them kind of morph together. So no one was really excluded.
We talked about what am I looking for? What are they going to be working on in this particular lesson? So they basically developed the rubric for their own assessment and evaluation that way. And we came up with 5 general points.
I want us to show each other where we're at so that we can think about helping each other refine what we're doing, and then we can polish what we're doing so that we're ready to show our finished product.
They had lots of different floor patterns.
They had lots of really good transitions, like when they lifted Julianne and Gabrielle up.
They used different levels at the same time, and then there was other points where like some were down and some were up, and it was really cool.
Okay, can we think about areas that they might want to refine now that they're at this point in the dance?
Just at the beginning, the kind of waviness kind of reminded me of water. But so like if you could like refine that to make it look more like airy or floatish, maybe just to make it look like more airy.
Kind of their group formations, because they're kind of in a line most of the time for like the first half of the dance.
Assessment of learning, that's when you've got your rubric, you know exactly what you're looking for, you look at it and you can say, yes, they've done all of this at this level or that level. That's important, but what's more important is the process. So assessment as learning, when you stop the class and say, okay, I have a question for you. When so-and-so is doing this, what do you see? Or, what do you feel?
So if you're not done, now you know what you have to work on. You got some comments and you probably have your own, and you can take a look over there again
anything's
And you can go
possible in dance. If you have that creative aspect, there's like tons of stuff you can do with the dance.
I've learned that like I am a very creative and spontaneous person because really in creative dance you really need to just think outside the box and use whatever you can to express emotions, any movements, and really not be afraid to show yourself in dance.
I found that there are lots of things that I can do that I didn't think I could do before I started experimenting with dance.
These students here are so articulate because they live in the arts. They apply all that they learn from the arts into what they're studying. The arts enhances their academics so much, and the studies have proven that, and they prove that themselves.